it's okay, I guess.
Yeah.
You tried.
I'm just going to not worry anymore. Just going to try.
Dude.
Just not.
The no worry boys.
Ugh. That stressed me out a little bit. I'm kind of worried now. I'm more worried. Sitting and thinking about this is making me more worried.
I'm sorry, Lynch. I didn't mean to.
No, I think it was a positive thing.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
Yes or no? Did you ever take banned substances to enhance your cycling performance?
Yes.
I had no prior knowledge of the planned assault on Nancy Kerrigan.
I am deeply sorry for my irresponsible and selfish behavior I engaged in.
Guys, welcome back. Oops, the podcast, episode 499.
Wow.
Insane. 499 bottles of beer on the wall. Take one down, pass it around, hand it to Ryan Lynch. What's up, Lynch?
And then I'm not going to drink it because it gives me rashes. I'm
beer?
doing all right. Yeah.
Beer gives you rashes.
Yeah.
We have not talked about this before.
Yeah, beer gives me rashes.
Are you allergic?
I don't know. I thought my 23andMe would disclose that type of info because it's a DNA test, but that's behind a paywall. And I probably will do it, but I'm not too happy about that. So I'm going to wait a little bit. Nice. And hopefully me speaking this out loud by my phone will yield a discount code soon. But yeah, beer, for whatever reason, I get these like rashes on my neck. If you're on YouTube, don't look, but like, you see this? There's something on my neck right
Oh, yeah.
Like I just get these, it's gross, but like that in itself, the same way that I don't do dairy to break out,
right.
I've easily just quit beer.
Interesting. Well, I guess that has a nice silver lining to it.
It does. It's like positive. It ends up like, it's like good for you, I guess, to not drink beer. So yeah, we went to Radgas Beer Hall in Brooklyn on Sunday to celebrate. Well, it was St. Patrick's Day, but it was mostly because Victoria ran the New York half. And it was a long morning. And so we went there afterwards, and that was a really fun time.
So when she ran it, and then did she go home first and then go, or did she go straight to the beer hall? So Sunday was insane. We had people fly in. So I'm just going to explain the whole day. And yes, we went home. But on Sunday, Victoria got up at 5. She went near Prospect Park, which is where the starting line was. And then I had to lead this group of people to get from different mile mark to different mile mark. And there were multiple parties coming in with different associations to Victoria, in which I needed to be on top of everybody. You became the ringleader.
Yeah. And, typically it's stressful when you're hosting people from out of town, especially like Victoria's. So here are the parties involved. Here are the players involved. So we have Victoria's team. That consists of her dad, her cousin, and her sister. That's team 1. Team 2 is city friends. So that's just friends in the city. Team 3 is friends from out of town. They flew in from Chicago. They flew in from Boston. And then team 4 was my parents. And so they came from New Jersey. So all of these different parties coming from all these different directions.
It's like a conference.
Yes, it was really going into the week leading up to this race. It was very stressful because I knew that Victoria does not deserve to shoulder the burden of figuring out logistics for people. All she should be focusing on is her race.
That's very nice.
Yes. And so I had to step up, and I knew I had to step up. And one term of advice I'd give to anybody, one bit of advice I'd give to anybody if they're in charge of coordinating for their significant other or a friend or a big event, make a PDF with hyperlinks.
Interesting.
It'll save your life.
So in what way? Like because everybody knows where they have to be type of thing?
I went into the course map and I put together over the course of a couple of hours which mile marks everybody should go to. I gave directions via the subway systems and then alternate routes should a subway be down. I attached hyperlinks to each of those locations. And then I also attached hyperlinks to each of those routes. So I told everybody at the beginning of the PDF, I said, hey guys, stick to this. If you have any questions, check the PDF, and then call me. I didn't get a single call from anybody.
Wow.
And it went fluently.
So did you see everybody at these different mile markers, or was it too like busy to like everybody team up?
We designated people at certain mile markers to make sure that Victoria had the most representation across the whole race.
I thought you meant you were moving each time. So you basically were like, you guys go here, we'll go here, this group go here. Nice.
Yeah. So we attempted to go to every mile mark. There was one that we didn't get to go to. So
we being who?
Me and my team. So
got it.
The group of people that were with me.
A Team Alpha.
Yeah, Team Alpha. So we went to the one in Brooklyn. We didn't get to go to the one by the Manhattan Bridge, but then we went to the third station, and then we went to the finish line, and we all met up at the third station, and it was flawless.
Oh, that's fun. Where is the finish line?
Central Park.
Got it.
Yeah.
Is it the same as the normal marathon?
I think the ending. I think the final 3 or 4 miles
is the same.
Is borderline identical. It ends in the exact same spot of Central Park that the regular marathon ends.
And is this like a gateway for most people to then run the regular marathon? Or is it like usually just a completely different activity?
It's a completely different activity. Victoria still has to enter the lottery. She raised money for Alzheimer's on behalf of her friend whose mom passed a few years back. And that was her way to get to participate in this race.
Nice. So you have to do it for a charity and raise money.
Yeah, or just pay
whatever
the fee is. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but Victoria raised about $3,000. I think a little bit more than that, and I think you needed to raise at least $2,200.
Nice.
Ballparks, people. But when in doubt, come prepared with a PDF. Everybody will respect you, and you're going to get a lot of good jobs. And thanks for making this weekend so easy from all the different parties.
We love that.
And not to like be, selfish. God damn, does it feel good to get that all across the board from all 4 teams.
And as the guy, people don't always expect you to be able to do that. So
yeah,
you went above and beyond.
We buttoned up for the weekend, but also everybody that was there, they made it easy because they're easy people to work with. And so I think all of the other team captains, so to speak, that were a part of it. But to answer your question, after the race, a large group of us went back to Brooklyn, and we got a couple of pizzas, and we sat in our apartment patio area.
Nice.
Sat in the sun. It was beautiful out. Had some pizzas, had some drinks. The parents left, and then our friends, we went over to Radgast to celebrate the rest of the day. Have you been there before?
Yes.
You can stand on the tables.
Oh, I don't know if I've witnessed that happening, but that's fun.
It's like it's not encouraged,
like
but
brunch
it is
party situation.
I guess so. I don't really Sunday that hard. Yeah. Sunday is really about grocery shop, get your shit together, and try to accept who you are so that you can go into the week with the best attitude possible. But we ended up having a Sunday to celebrate for Vic, and she was up for it, and so that was great. But yeah, you can just stand on this big table. You can order while standing on the table. The server comes up to you, and it was fantastic. There was live music, and they were playing some newer, fresher stuff. Bruno Mars, Dua Lipa, not just that song. What's the St. Patrick's Day song? It's like none of that.
The Boston song?
Whatever. Ship it off to Boston. Whoa. I don't like that song. But yeah, it was great. So I didn't drink any beer. They did have organic skin contact wine on the menu, however.
What's that?
It's just orange wine.
Oh, nice. So yeah, it's like natural wine.
Yeah, skin contact is the equivalent to high in protein, as we would see advertised on a protein bar these days.
So it's like a better wine, but it's still wine?
It's just wine.
Got it. But it's natural wine. Orange wine is usually natural.
It is natural wine.
Nice. Yeah, it's good for you. You're not supposed to get a hangover from it.
Yeah.
No hangover?
No.
Nice.
Not the case. But yeah, it was good. And I didn't have beer. And I think that's where we're getting at with that.
I had a beer this weekend, and I usually don't. And Hillary said she thought I looked attractive drinking it.
Yeah.
Which I was like, oh boy, are we opening this? Because usually, I like to try to win the battles that I can win, and one of them is that I don't crave beer. So I'm like, all right, this is objectively not something that's good for you, so I'm just never going to drink it because I don't crave it. Mm-hmm. I have enough bad habits that I don't need to add beer to one of them, to the list.
Yeah.
But
I have that. That's a good thing to not have on your list. I have some friends that drink beer with their dinner, and that's totally fine. if that's what you do. A lot of these friends also work out a lot, and so like they're super healthy, and that's baked into their diet, and they're super sexy, and you look great, Chris. But I just can't do that. I can't drink during the week unless I'm at like an event, especially not with dinner, just a casual beer. Doesn't happen.
Yeah, because people are like, man, just having a cold beer. And I understand the idea of that, but I don't want it to be a thing that I like truly relate to, because it will mean that I'm drinking too much beer.
Yeah.
And I already struggle enough with trying to keep it together body-wise. So, but right now, dude, you look like you are a fucking bat and a batting donut away and a piece of tobacco in the lip from being at spring training, bro.
Yeah, dude, I underestimated the weather today. It was so nice this weekend. I just assumed that it would be like in the 50s the rest of the way.
It was like 37 this morning.
Yeah, it was terrible. I came here on a bike and my hood was blowing against the wind, and it was puffed out as much as possible.
So it's just like fish bowling.
Exactly. It looked terrible, and I was freezing cold. But yeah, I'm wearing all black. This is an official Yankee spring training shirt.
Sick.
Because I am part of the team, and yeah. So I want more consistent weather. Now that we got a little tease of it.
Yeah, we don't get spoiled, guys. We're still in March, so if you live in a place that, I'm sure, I think like down south, it obviously starts to get warmer faster, but like if you live in the north, don't get too excited. I'm sure there'll be some snow at some point still. And April is always like a letdown.
It is.
It's never as nice as we expect it to be. So there's still some time to get the body ready for the summer if you are consistent, vigilant, and if you so desire.
How bad do the seasonal allergies mess you up?
Not too bad.
You're pretty good around this time of year?
I know that
or come April?
You take like preventative medicine, right?
I just take the Claritin I'm on it now.
If you didn't take it, would you feel like shit right now?
I don't think so. I think I'm a few weeks out, but you got to have it you got to have it in your system a few weeks before the first sniffle or whatever.
Interesting.
Because a couple years ago, waited until the first day, and I was on a golf course. I had to quit the rest of the round, like 3 holes. I could not see.
Oh, shit.
I couldn't breathe. It was really bad. And you always just like forget that it's coming until it's too late. So we got our Claritin, and we're good to go. That's good that you don't have to deal with that too much.
So if you were to, by starting to take it early, typically it makes the transition as much smoother. Like, will you still feel, if you take it every day, will you not even notice?
That's the goal.
And have you ever achieved that goal?
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because like a lot of the time we take stuff when we feel like shit, and if we don't feel like shit, we forget to take stuff. So it's important sometimes to be preventative in your methods and techniques.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. I mean, just like your motivation to take the allergy medicine sooner should just be like, I feel like everybody has had a moment where it was like that bad.
As a kid, it used to be bad for me.
Yeah.
But I think it might have been just like where I was living kind of thing. Like, we lived sort of in a rural sort of area, not really a ton of streetlights, no sidewalks, like the woods, like people, a place where people from the city are afraid of, but people from there are afraid of the city. Oddly enough. Well, not oddly enough. I guess it makes sense, but it's an interesting thing. Like we have people come visit from Brooklyn and be afraid of going in the woods with us. And they'd start inciting, and they'd be like, "Oh, there's bobcats in there." It's like, bro, there's no bobcat. Like, what are you talking about? So anyway, the unknown being scary type of thing. But I do think one of two things: either there's a chance that there's stuff up there that there isn't here, and therefore I don't experience it, or just something with, we had cats. I didn't think I was allergic to them, but maybe I was. I don't really know. But I used to have pretty bad allergies as a kid. The other thing too, I would always have my room really fucking cold, like an air conditioner, and we would put it like as cold as possible. I got used to that. And I think that may have had something to do with it too. Either like the filter or the coldness, or I don't really know, but it was amazing. The second I left home, my allergies went away. So I don't specifically know and our house was pretty clean too. So like, I don't really know what it could have been, dude.
Good for you.
Thing.
No beer, no allergies.
Yeah, exactly.
This episode of Oops the Podcast is brought to you by BetterHelp.
I signed up, and I was actually supposed to have my first appointment today, but we had to reschedule. But next week, first appointment, BetterHelp. I found the process of getting matched up with a therapist to be very, very straightforward. You kind of you answer a bunch of questions
and a variety of different like questionnaire type things. It's pretty easy, and I actually kind of enjoyed it. I was like, oh, okay, yeah, this is this about me. This is that about me. You can kind of specifically talk about what your goals might be by talking to somebody. And also you can kind of specify who you want, what type of person you want to be your therapist, whether like their technique is this or that, because I've had different therapists over time that have had very, very different techniques. And sometimes I just randomly ended up with that person. And then once you've started with somebody, it's like awkward to stop, and like you kind of just keep going, even if they weren't the right fit. So like there were times where I spent years with people who maybe weren't even the perfect fit for me. And if I just had this process, it would have made it much, 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 much easier. So anyway, I'm looking forward to trying it out. And I think that therapy is a good thing for anybody, no matter how you're feeling. Good, bad, happy, or sad. I think that there is help. You'd be amazed at how helpful this sort of exercise can be. So look, if you're thinking of starting therapy, you should give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, and it's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Learn to make time for what makes you happy with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/oops today to get 10% off of your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/oops. So dude, our wedding is obviously looming. It's coming up. And now we're coming down to the wire where we are figuring out specific invitations. There's a couple different events happening. So like some people will be invited to, there's like a specific thing for closer people that, and then there's like a broader thing as well. Don't need to like classify it all too specifically, but we're getting down to the point where we need to specifically figure out if there are going to be any cuts that we need to make, any painful cuts. Mm-hmm. We're hoping that we won't have to. And we've sort of been talking about it, and Hillary's like, what about this person? What about that person? And it was like too early. And I'm like, as of now, yes, but who knows? 4 months from now. And it would be funny because I'd tell her, oh, I talked to this person. And she'd be like, are you serious? Because she knows that the chance that I talk to them makes it more likely that we then have to invite them. She's like, anybody who's on the fringe, just don't talk to them for the next 6 months. Like, that's kind of funny. She wasn't completely serious. But I've thought of like a fun exercise. When the day finally comes where we need to make the list, I think it'll be really fun and funny to put all the names, arrange them in some way. Like maybe we just have like a list of people who are obvious and those people go through, but then there is sort of the like voting off group, and maybe we have like specific note cards for all of them and we turn it into some kind of drinking game. We get hammered together and we pick who's going to make the cut and who isn't.
Yeah, you've had the idea of this, I think like a month or so ago.
Yeah.
And that sounds like a great way to
I think it's going to be a
put
good
it
time.
to use. You get a big cork board
Exactly.
and set it up like Spotlight.
Fucking-
Or
yeah,
trying
yeah.
to find the Zodiac killer and
Exactly.
just have associations. Yeah.
We have like red lines connecting to different newspaper clippings.
Yeah, Venn diagram, SWOT analysis. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That should be fun. But it's fun to see it all slowly start to come together. But at the same time, it still feels very far away because there's just so many other things going on. Mm-hmm. I'm so focused on specific parts of my work and this and that it's going to creep up on us. And, it's going to be a good time.
How many months out are you?
Well, it's in November. So what is it, March? So what is that? Like 9 months? Roughly?
Yeah.
Less than 9 because it's the beginning of November as opposed to... Actually, no, it's in the middle of November. So these are things I should know. I got confused with the election, which is the beginning of November. So anyway, that's going to be a fun thing to get going. And I know I need to start getting clothes and stuff for it. I don't know if this is a thing for you, but as I've kind of progressed in my relationship, you guys have been together longer than we have, but I've started to lose autonomy over my own style. In a good way. Like I don't think about it anymore because I know that she's going to do it for me. So a lot of the times clothes, this and that, like I haven't really picked clothes for myself in a long time. So it's going to probably be the same for the wedding. Like I will absolutely need her to decide, and that's fine. That maybe is more standard than just in general with clothes. So the first question is that a thing for you as well? Like what is your selection process like for your clothing?
I'm pretty in control of that. Victoria doesn't give me too much of a hard time.
I was going to say, she doesn't fight you on stuff typically?
No, she might mention like those colors don't match. She typically is right. But if it comes down to just like preference or like what I think looks cool or something that I want to wear, unless there is like a stylistic no, objectively, I'll go with whatever I want to do, and she's okay with it. But like if I'm wearing like black pants and I have a navy blue shirt on, first off, I would never make that mistake, but that typically that is a no. She would call me out on that, wouldn't let me leave without making the change, which she would be right about.
So I think it's pretty standard for like girls to buy their guy clothes or to like have input or to help. And like whether it's a me situation where it starts to become a little more all encompassing, or a Ryan situation where he takes pride on putting his own outfits together and then maybe gets some slight feedback that's non-binding. And yes, don't get me wrong, I will push sometimes for outfits. And then if she just still doesn't like them, she'll be like, you love your fun little outfit, don't you, honey? And I'm like, yes.
And that's it, as you put it away?
No, and as I wear it out the door, and whatever. But I wonder if this scenario exists. Are there any guys who buy clothes for their girl? Is that a thing? Does that person exist? And not just for gifts. Like, are there guys who like help their girl put an outfit together? I've never heard of it, but I'd be curious to know if it exists.
I haven't met him.
Yeah. And I just can't imagine how that would even go. Like Hillary, I'll wear something and Hillary would be like, you're really partial to jewel tones. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't even know what that means. But like, I can't imagine me saying that to her. Be like, jewel tones are really in right now. Like, I don't even know what that means. And even more specifically, like she'll be like, what do you think about this outfit? What am I going to say? I'm like, oh, it's good or it's not. Like, I can't be like, maybe you should wear a crop top. I don't even know what a crop top is. I've heard the term.
I was curious if you were going to ask that. It's okay to give feedback without knowing everything. You don't need to give suggestions, but you can point out things. Victoria will do the same thing with me, where she'll walk out with a certain outfit and I don't like whatever the top is. I don't know what it is, but I'll say, it's not bad. I don't love that. And that translates to whatever she had insecurities about in her head, specifically about that in her own language. I don't know what that is, but by just saying I don't like that, she understands where I'm coming from with it.
She can interpret.
Yeah.
Right.
So I try to be honest with her. I think she appreciates that. If Victoria ever asks what I'm thinking about something, I will, to the best of my ability,
try to give her
be honest about it. Because sometimes she has some she wears some awesome outfits, but sometimes they're not that great. But then she always leaves with something
Shots
great.
fired. Well, yeah, I'm trying to think. Like she'll ask me what I think, and then sometimes I'll answer, and she will interpret my answer. And sometimes she doesn't need to interpret it. Like sometimes what I'm saying is straightforward, but she'll be like, "What's that mean?" And then she'll just like not do the outfit because she's like reading into what I was saying. And I was like, "You shouldn't even bother with what I'm saying. I don't know anything." And with the things that I do, like sometimes when I really like an outfit, it actually means that she doesn't like it. So sometimes I'll be like, I really love that. And she'll be like, that means I need to change.
Really?
Yes.
How often does she ask you?
Sometimes, like a good amount.
And what does she specifically ask? She says, do you like this? Or do you like how this looks? Because those are like different questions.
Sometimes. But yeah, and I don't think we get into that. Like, I don't think she would like pick one of those questions over the other. I think she'd like have a different approach to it. I get what you're saying. But she'll more be like, what type of thing should I wear to this? Mm-hmm. And I'll try to describe the mood board, and I just don't do a very good job. And she'll be like, well, what do you mean? Does that mean this or does that mean this? I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, I just said what I said. I'm like, like casual but dressed up still. Mm-hmm. She's like, those are different things. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Just wear something. You're fine.
Like for events, like for showings and things. Like when we went to Brooklyn to see the shorter version of your trip. Yeah. I remember she asked me specifically what she should wear. Mm. And I just told her what I was going to wear. And I was like, I don't know what you guys wear. Like I'm wearing this. Match the vibe. Like if you think so nervously about this.
Yeah, that means that she must have asked me already and I must not have been helpful. But yeah, dude, I don't know. Like, and sometimes like if I do have like a specific thought, she'll be like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, I don't know. This is the most specific I've gotten. So just take it and do something. I don't care. I like you. What you wear is not going to make me think differently of you. And others' opinions of what you're wearing are not going to sway me. So
I wonder
solid there.
I wonder how she feels if you say I don't care.
Yeah, she doesn't. I don't think she likes that.
I would potentially. There's a few pieces that Victoria has in her closet that I know and I will refer to them as a reference point. And that is just a little bit above and beyond that you could go to help guide her in a certain direction. Be like, oh, I'd like that. She's like, oh, that kind of reminds me of that navy sweater you have in the closet. It's giving off that kind of vibe. Inspire her.
I'm not quite there, I think, but I mean, it sounds like I need to work on this a bit.
You just say something in the closet.
Yeah. I mean, she does a good job. I think that she doesn't need, it's making me realize she doesn't need my help picking an outfit if she specifically knows what the expectation is. If it's like an event that I've brought her into, whether it's my event specifically or a thing that she doesn't know about. Like if we were going to some comedy thing and she's like, well, what should I wear to this or something? That is where we run into this problem, I think. And it's sounding like consistent with the Afghanistan thing, because I was like trying to explain it to her, but we'd never done a thing like that together. And it was sort of a unique thing. It didn't really have an obvious vibe.
I think everyone wore every kind of outfit to that.
Yeah, it's very true.
Some showed up in suits, some showed up in hoodies, and everything in between.
There was someone in long shorts. I specifically remember that. I was like, oh, you maybe missed the vibe a bit, buddy.
Wear it with confidence. You can wear anything.
Okay, I have a question for you. Do you play the lotto at all?
No.
Never, ever?
No.
Okay. I've been playing the lotto recently.
Really?
And I typically do not play the lotto either. And I've got to say this, dude. Buying the Powerball, I find to be a really disheartening experience. I've never even gotten one number. And I've probably played it now 10 times. And I know that's not that many times. But I'm spending $2. I'm losing and not even getting close. Like if you do a scratch off, at least sometimes you win $2. You pay $2, you win $2. That's a net zero, but it was exciting. You know there's a high likelihood that you could win something. And even if that becomes $50, wow. As opposed to no chance in hell you're going to win it all.
How many numbers are selected for the Powerball?
I think 6.
And all 6 need to be picked.
So not only that, they need to be picked in the specific order.
Uh-huh.
There might be some sort of small consolation prize if you get a couple numbers out of order. I've just never come close to that. I've never even gotten one number. So I'm like, there's literally no... And I've talked about this on the pod before. One time I was complaining about the Powerball 10 years ago, and I've obviously rediscovered this disdain for it. But the guy was like, I was like, it's such a ripoff. And he was like, I don't know. He's like, $1 for hope? Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. I'm like, dude, fine.
To scratch your itch, yeah, if you think about it that way.
I'd much rather bet $10 on the Knicks to win or something. Mm-hmm. That's so likely to happen, and I'll win $10. As opposed to spending $2 every day my whole life and never winning a single thing.
Of the 6 numbers that you pick, do you pick them or do you just do the random?
I do the random.
Okay, so of those 6 numbers, what's the highest number each number can be? 1 through 9?
I don't even know.
0 through 9?
No.
Can you go over 10?
No, I think it can be, no, it's more. I think it's 1 through, you can check, but I think mine today that I didn't win on, I think my Powerball number was 60 something.
Then you'll never win.
You'll never win. But somebody wins, and that's the problem. And that's why people keep playing, because somebody always wins eventually, and it's an insane amount of money.
1 through 26.
But really?
A regular Powerball ticket.
So maybe at Mega Millions is what I was talking about.
To play, one must pick 5 numbers from 1 to 69.
Yeah, there you
and
go.
a Powerball number from 1 to 26.
Okay, got it.
So one of the numbers is between 1 and 26. Yeah, those odds do not look favorable, to even entice me to spend $1 a day on that.
Okay, so this is the problem with this to me, the lottery. If I'm hoping to win the lottery and I actually think it's possible, the chances, and I'm going to need you to do some fact checking here, the chances of that happening are the same as some really bad things. So if I think that winning the lottery is possible, in my brain, I suddenly also think that it's possible to get struck by lightning, my plane to crash and to die in it, all the other very unlikely scenarios that can develop. Mm-hmm. So what are the odds of those things that I just, what are the odds of winning the Mega Millions? What are the odds of dying in a plane crash? What are the odds of getting struck by lightning?
Yeah, we've done this before. Let's see.
Yeah.
All right, so the odds to win Mega Millions is 1 in 302.6 million.
Okay.
The odds of getting struck by lightning is 1 in 15,300.
Yeah, that's a way better chance.
And the odds of a commercial plane crash would be 1 in 1.2 million. And that doesn't necessarily mean you die.
Okay, so those are both way better likelihoods than winning the lottery. So to me, by hoping to win the lottery, I then have to become worried about those two things. But so my counter thing to that, how I deal with it, is to not think I'm going to win the lottery. And then I suddenly don't think that other low probability things are going to happen to me. What are the odds of dying in some sort of attack? Some sort of politically motivated or radical attack?
Well, like a shooting?
Yeah, sure. Shooting, terrorism. And I guess, I'm not trying to prove a point by doing this, but you would have to say in America, because I don't think that those things really happen as often elsewhere. So that would sort of like make the odds better if we did the world. We're talking about just America.
1 in 1.575 million.
Okay.
That's the odds that you would die in an American shooting. Tragic, but that's what that is.
So these are all things that I don't worry about in my day-to-day life. And the chances of winning the lottery is millions and millions of times more difficult than any of these very unlikely tragedies is. So therefore, by hoping that I'm going to win the lottery, I have to then also be, if I'm being fair and thorough in my brain, worried about these unprecedented, scary events.
Yeah.
So I just don't. And this is obviously doesn't make sense. You can compartmentalize these two things. I can hope for something good while assuming that nothing bad is going to happen. I just think it's like dangerous territory to think that unlikely possibilities are likely. It will prevent you from making good decisions, and it will make you more likely to make bad decisions. And I'll tell you why. The bad decisions is because you hope and believe that something extremely unlikely can happen when it can't.
Just the continued belief of that?
Yes, like spending a ton of money on lotto tickets and never winning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it'll make me afraid of traveling because I'm afraid of all the shit that can happen. It'll make me afraid of walking in through a field because of lightning. And granted, there has to be a storm, so maybe that's not a good example, but it'll make me afraid of going out in public because of shootings. These are all scary things, but you should live your life normally, because there's a very good chance, knock on wood, that you might not have to go through some of these things. That's not wood, by the way. I recommend finding some wood. The wall. There you go. Attaboy.
You too.
So anyway, that's my thought.
So maybe don't buy lottery tickets?
I think I'm done.
10 and done? 10 and out?
I bought a Mega Millions and a Powerball yesterday. I already lost brutally on whichever one was drawn yesterday. I think the other one draws tomorrow. I'm without a doubt going to lose that too. And I think I'm going to move on and never do it again.
Do you watch the drawing live on TV?
No.
Is it on your phone?
I just Google it. Like, what were the numbers? I think about this scenario sometimes. Like, if you were to go into a random store and put your thing under the scanner and you won the lottery, would you be in some sort of like precarious situation? Like, would it go like what? And like then the guys there would know, and maybe other people in the store would see you and they'd try to kill you or something, or fight you for it. Like, are you able to preserve your anonymity in that situation?
So are you like potentially in fear of someone like trying to steal your ticket from you?
What if the guy in the store is like, let me see that. Can I see that real quick? And he just takes it. What are you going to do? I mean, you could fight him.
You could. Well, the benefit is that everything in convenience stores is surveillanced.
It's his camera. He can throw the tape out.
Well, then you go to the police and you let them, you tell them this conspiracy that you have. And then when he can't provide the tapes.
No, but no. That's not how that works. If he can't provide the tapes, he isn't guilty. If he can't provide the tapes, there's no proof. The tape player was broken. I didn't realize.
But what if he shoddily does it?
Shoddily does what?
Deletes the tape between over a 12-minute period.
You would have to record him deleting the tape. And when you call the cops, like, he might be able to, like, maybe the tape is directly under the counter. He's protecting himself from these kind of moments. He takes it, he hands it to some little kid who's shorter than the counter. The kid runs out or whatever. I'm just saying, like, that scenario worries me. So sometimes I literally think about that when I'm checking the ticket. I'm like, I'd rather check this. And then maybe if I'm not sure, I'll go in the store and confirm if it's convenient, and I'll buzz in and it's like, not a winner. Okay, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And look, I'm sure that I'm curious. I'm curious if there's like famous stories of people who won and then I know there's been times where they've lost the ticket, but like if there was some sort of crazy thing where suddenly people were plotting to get the ticket from them.
1 in 306 million chance of that happening. I wouldn't worry about that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You guys go out there and work hard. You're not going to win the fucking lottery. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't care if your aunt won and you know some guy who won. It's not going to happen to you. You are not going to win the lottery. Stop wasting your money. For Christ's sake.
What an overwhelming halting of your life that would be. Everything like you can't live your normal life again.
If you invested $2 a day in Nvidia over a 3-year span or whatever, you'd have a lot of money right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was thinking, if you did $1 a day, you're better off investing in some sort of penny stock. The odds of that being successful, like a Dogecoin,
way better.
Much higher.
Dude, 100%. By the way, I know somebody who works, did I tell you this already? I know somebody who works for an AI company, and the slogan of the company, it's a big company too, I forget the name, but the slogan of the company used to be, "Good luck, everyone."
Really? Because it was uncharted territory of just like mining?
No, because like humanity is fucked.
Oh.
Good luck, everybody. And then that joke started to become like not appreciated because, you know, people started to get too afraid of AI. Mm-hmm. I am hopeful that it will be a positive thing. I don't know enough about it to be scared about it. But I understand that there is good reason to be afraid as we sort of wade into uncharted waters. Unexplored waters, but I'm just not going to worry about it. I'm going to sit and worry about my bullshit instead.
Yeah, I can't afford to worry about that. I'm worrying about too much other more relevant stuff to me right now. But I have seen videos of AI being the perfect editor.
Really?
Like you just type like, make this look like it takes place in Dune. And then the whole setting is like foggy red, smoky.
Oh, wow.
dirt.
They just immediately do post-production?
Oh, like you just type in what you want deleted, make this pan from left to right, make this, give this some Gaussian blur, zoom in, make 70 birds in the background and add corresponding sound effects for each of them.
So, okay. So that implies still though that you would need to know how to edit to be able to do that, which is good because maybe people who are editors will still be able to have jobs. It'll just be easier for them to do their jobs. But maybe they'll like make less money because they won't be able to bill as many hours.
Yeah.
Which is maybe a problem.
Yeah, at least for the first few years, you'll need the editors. I don't know. That's too meta of a topic for me to grasp my head around right now.
It makes your head feel painful. Hopefully it'll be a thing that like we can use to our advantage as opposed to a thing that will end up being bad and a Terminator situation will not unfold. Yeah,
I don't want that. I'm just excited. I'm grateful for life. And I'm excited to see as much of how things play out as possible. Mm-hmm. I love movies in the sense and directors in the sense that like when I hear like rumors for an upcoming movie that's not coming out till 2026 or 2027, I just get excited about the prospect of being around and pausing whatever I'm doing at that point in time in my life to go see that movie that I'm looking forward to. I want to like consume as much film and TV as possible. And that's like when I think about dying, if I ever like died young, that's like one of the first things that pops into my mind is just like, I'm going to miss out on so many awesome movies and shows and trends and songs. And just like, I love pop culture and I love,
you're going to miss out on so many it girls and guys.
But what is the it?
Just the like Zendaya and Tom Holland.
Yeah, I want to see Zendaya become Meryl Streep. Like I want to tell my kids like, yeah, she kicks ass. And
you should see her ride the worm.
Yeah.
No, I feel you. I think about that too, where I'm like, if I was so old that I'm like my death is imminent, I would like be watching tennis and I'd see this like 16-year-old who was so promising and I'd be bummed out that I wouldn't get to see whether or not he won Wimbledon or whatever someday.
GIULIO.
Hello, Mr. Lynch.
Heads, shoulders, knees, and toes.
Where are you going with this? I like
knees and toes. Actually, forget about the knees. Let's talk about the toes.
Let's talk about the toes.
They are imperative. I got 10 of them to get to and from your apartment to record. And thanks to Dr. Motion, I get to put the prettiest socks on my pretty little toes that help me stay mobile and agile and just feel fully supported when I'm on my way to record the podcast.
Well, I'll say this, dude. They're sort of like compression socks, which is sort of their specialty, are really nice for this weather too, because when it suddenly got so cold, which makes the circulation sort of not as strong as it might normally be. But the compression socks from Dr. Motion definitely help that a lot. They have the knee-high compression sock, which is kind of one of their famous models. I also like the low-cut ones. I've been wearing those when we had that little bright spat of good weather for a few days. I was rocking low-cut ankle socks. Not only are they comfortable and the perfect amount of compressed on your feet, but they also fit nicely within the shoe. Mm-hmm. You don't want an ankle sock that sits too high above your sneaker. It's just like not stylish. These sort of kind of completely get that done, in my opinion. Yeah, and there's science behind it, and so much so that there are even models designed specifically for people with any sort of like circulation stuff going on. There are pairs specific for people with diabetes, and it's a great company with a great sock for every person. So you need socks anyway. You might as well get them from Dr. Motion Socks. The spring and summer collection are now on the website. So visit the website, drmotionsocks.com, to check out all the products and explore the new collection. Worrying about shit, right? Is there a way to truly absolve yourself from being worried? At every step, like the worries that you currently have, right? Say that they're financial, say they're not like health related, right? Let's say it's something like, I'm afraid my job's not going to work out, or whatever, like life stuff. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? My finances, like I need to make X amount of money, but I don't know how it's going to happen. Or as a comedian, you're like, how am I going to, whatever worries anybody might have in their lives. Life happens, and to some degree you can prepare, but you can't always prevent bad things, and you can't always predict good things. You can kind of only, as Brent once said, he goes, prepare for the worst, expect the best, accept what comes. That's the Brent saying. And it's a pretty good one, and it's easy to say, but it's difficult to put into practice. So for me, if I'm like having a tough day and I'm worried for a reason. I have a good reason to be worried, but it's not productive to worry. Is there a way to stop yourself from worrying? Are there people who live in that sort of state? And here are the questions that I have. Have they achieved the status by living a different kind of life where their life itself, if anybody lived that life, would not have as much worry, right? And that's part of the blue zone theory too, is like there's like less stress in some of these areas. So like people drink and smoke, but it doesn't matter because they're living stress-free lives. Okay. So is it an environmental thing, or is there a thing that you can do to truly make it so that you are not worried? You're never worried, or you're less worried than the average person.
I think everybody personally knows something that they could eliminate or make improvements on that will benefit their life so much more that they would worry less just by taking that action. So
you're saying that if there's a thing that you want to do that you have not yet done,
or a thing that you're doing that you know is holding you back, mm-hmm. a toxic habit or a vice or a roadblock that you put on yourself
that makes you worry more. So then are we saying, so that also kind of lends itself to like self-doubt or lack of self-confidence, which I guess can also be related to worry. Like if you're confident and you feel good about your path or whatever, maybe you'll be less worried. But what if it's something like, what if it's like a business thing or like a deal, or like say for me, for my special, right? Let's say I just spent a ton of money on my special and I don't know what's going to happen with it. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I really like kind of need someone to buy it. And if no one does, that might be tough for me. Like I put myself in a bit of a precarious situation. So you could argue, like you said, maybe that's my fault. I put myself in that position. I made a choice that put me in a position to worry. So maybe my question there specifically, I guess you have to examine it differently in every way you think about it. But like, if I'm worried about this, I maybe have the right to be worried about this, but I would argue that I should not be worrying about it because it's not going to change the outcome. I put myself in a worrisome situation where I'm worried about what might happen in the worst case scenario. let's say the worst case scenario happens. Maybe it won't even be that bad. I don't even know. I don't know what's going to happen in the next 6 months. I don't know. This is the type of job where it's hard to predict your path, and that can be good and bad. It's hard to not know, but it can also be nice because things can happen that wouldn't just randomly happen on a traditional work path, right? So let's look at this. Let's look at this specifically. I'm worried, Ryan. Let's say I'm worried about my special. Mm-hmm. Do I think it's good? Yeah. I've watched it a bunch of times. Are you following this?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's say and I'm not saying it because I'm doubting your listening skills. I'm saying it from my delivery. I'm worried that I'm worried about that too.
We're with you.
Okay, good. So I'm worried about my special. I have every reason to be worried. I spent a bunch of money. I'm about to do my taxes. If I owe a lot of money, I might not even be able to pay them. I might have to file for an extension, which is fine. People do that. Not a big deal. But then say the special never gets sold. And then maybe I can recoup a little money on the back end, whatever. But I'm worried about that scenario. But it could happen. And by worrying, it's not helping. So how do I get to a place where I'm not worried about that anymore? Because the decision's already been made. And how do I not worry about it? And then moving forward, how do I operate? Because I've done this a lot. I spent a lot of money on things that didn't do much for me. And maybe I still have the belief that in the long term, A, maybe it will build up to doing something for me. B, this job doesn't always make sense. So by trying to make it make sense, sometimes you work against yourself because no rational person would attempt to do this, which is why most people don't. Which is why actually the success rate statistics are a little skewed because most people don't try. So you can't really, so the sample size of the people that tried, I think you'd be surprised how many of them who stuck with it were able to kind of like make it work for themselves. So whatever. So I've made a bunch of these crazy maybe decisions. Have they worked out? I don't know. Time will tell. Maybe spending all my money making travel videos and shit that have generated $0. Maybe somehow everyone will say, he is a genius. It was a brilliant decision. Or it'll work and they'll be like, he knew. I don't need to be a genius, but they'll be like, he knew and he always knew. And once it worked, it makes sense. But before it has worked, it doesn't. These are the things I worry about. Mm-hmm. So how do I just be like, this is the bed that I've made. I'm now going to sleep in it. I shoot from the hip sometimes. I believe in my talent. Therefore, I have nothing to worry about.
Well, it's one thing to just come to complete acceptance of that and then be able to just like table it. I would try to think of like something else that I could focus on to distract myself, which would then take my attention away from the possibility of worrying. I don't think I'd be able to come to complete acceptance of something that's still ongoing.
Right. You can't get to that pure flow state. And even in like yoga or whatever, not to get, tree hugger on all you, but you're supposed to be in the moment, focus on the breath. Your brain will wander off most of the time, but part of the process is like acknowledging that and bringing it back. And then over time, you'll have more and more control over your thoughts. So maybe there's something there, but tennis metaphor incoming. The great Novak Djokovic, more than arguably the greatest tennis player of all time, as far as statistics, accolades, on paper, greatest tennis player who's ever lived, best tennis player of all time, etc., whatever. He has a saying about this, which I don't think he coined, but it's something about like the past has already happened and the future is going to happen anyway. What can I do now to shape my own narrative? And it's helpful for tennis because if you start worrying in tennis in a match, what if I lose? It starts affecting your execution. You can't hit through the ball. You get nervous. You're not doing the things you need to do to win. You're just afraid of losing. You're worried, and therefore you end up not getting the outcome that you desired. So how do you? And I don't think it's as extreme in what we do. I think what I learned from that, and maybe this could be a thing for everybody who's worried, instead of thinking about past mistakes or how things are going to go in the future, what can you do now to control the way things are going to work out? I don't know the answer. I don't know that I'm equipped to know it.
I know for me, I know I am in the best position to succeed when I feel good and when I feel confident, obviously, as does anybody. And then for me to feel good and to feel confident is to look my best. And honestly, when I like, I need to get jacked. If I can get jacked, if I go to the gym and I work out and I gain weight, then I feel super confident. And then I feel like I am putting myself in the best position to give the best to get the best outcome.
These are the little tricks. I agree with this trick, but I also think it's not an end all be all, because sometimes it's like, okay, what can I control? And I'll tell you, I'll explain, because for me at least, my journey is different than yours. But if I'm like, okay, I can't control the outcome of so many things in my life. This is a thing that I can literally control. I can literally control this. I can eat less, I can work out more, and that will work for sure, guaranteed. So when I'm able to do that, I feel very in control of my own destiny. But if you're not able to, it doesn't mean that you should feel bad. So it can be dangerous to put all your eggs in that basket for your confidence. If like suddenly you look in the mirror one day and you don't like the way you look that day, that doesn't mean that for the next 2 months while you try to get to a place that you do look good, that you should feel bad about yourself. You know, there's something there, because I relate to that for sure. I'm like, okay, like I'm going to sacrifice these next 3 months and then I'll feel good and I'll be happy forever and it'll be great. But maybe that's unrealistic. B, I don't always feel that way. When I feel great, I don't care about fitness as much. When I'm really happy, I don't care about working out. I'm like, I'm happy. I'm great. Everything's great. I'm making a bunch of money. I'm confident. All is well. And then if things start to go not as well, I suddenly become much more interested in it. And I've always said that on the pod. I think my sort of size has sort of stayed pretty consistent throughout the duration of this podcast. So maybe it means I've been pretty even keeled this whole time. But if I start to lose a bunch of weight, I'm either dying or not happy. So I just want you guys to keep an eye out for that. You just got to have faith. Be consistent with who you are. Over time, it'll pay off. I don't know. Maybe times will be tough. But you will likely survive. And being alive is a great gift.
Yeah.
You know, it was a very low probability thing that you would even be born. Likely as low probability as winning the lotto, to bring it all back together. So that's one miracle that happened in your life. Be grateful for that and try to live a life in a way that makes you happy, and try your best not to worry. And if you find yourself worrying, try to have this conversation with yourself. Why am I worried? There's nothing you can do. Don't be worried. It's okay. You know, I'm fucking worried sick about all this shit. And I look around, I'm like, I live in a great apartment. I love my partner. I have a good family. Like I have so many things to be thankful for and grateful for. And I don't spend enough time being happy about them. And I spend too much time worrying about the things that I don't have, or worrying or feeling bad about the bad things that are happening to me, and worrying about what that will mean. And that could be as simple as the comedy club that I always work at isn't booking me as much, or I'm not getting booked here, or I'm not selling as many tickets as I want, or whatever bad thing. Maybe it's just no point in worrying about it. If you show up to that weekend and there's nobody in the seats, it's okay, I guess. Yeah. You tried.
I'm just going to not worry anymore. Just going to try.
Dude.
Just not.
The no worry boys.
It stressed me out a little bit.
I'm sorry.
I'm kind of worried now.
I'm
more worried. Sitting and thinking about this is making me more worried.
I'm sorry, Lynch. I didn't mean to
No,
make you
I think it was a positive thing.
Okay, we got a couple emails, but maybe we'll touch them on later episodes. Guys, this is Oops the Podcast. I'm Giulio Gallerati, Ryan Lynch. Come see some of my shows. The 4th through the 6th, I'm in DC at the DC Comedy Loft. 7th of April, I am in Atlanta at the Punchline. 5, 3, and 4, I'm at House of Comedy in Detroit. 6-1, Laugh Boston. 6-19, Helium Portland. 8-3, Pasadena, California. I got St. Pete coming up on the schedule in the fall. We'll have more dates. Keep your eyes out for the special. Hopefully it'll have a home. And if it ends up on YouTube for free, please watch it a ton. And know that even though that's what ended up happening, I'm not worried about my financial ruin.
Not one bit.
Lynch, what do you got coming up?
Please like and share any of our posts or any of our clips that we put on TikTok or Instagram or Facebook or Twitter. That really helps us out a lot. Send us emails at oopsthepodcast@gmail.com and check me out at Ryan is Really Polite. Thank you.